For 3.5 years, the people of Montgomery County, Maryland have never given up the search for Jacob and Sarah Hoggle, desperate to find the brother and sister, dead or alive.
I never would have thought that 3.5 years. Sorry. I would have never thought that 3.5 years later we would still be looking for the kids.
Last September, on the 3rd anniversary of their disappearance, Troy Turner resigned himself to the fact that his 2 youngest children are never coming home.
I have held out hope that something else may have happened, as I think that any parent under these circumstances would. But it has always been a faint hope.
In no uncertain terms, he made clear who he believes is to blame for the deaths of Sarah and Jacob.
Catherine Hoggle has murdered my children, and I hope Sarah and Jacob get the justice they deserve.
But the doors of justice are slowly closing with each passing year. If Catherine isn't ruled competent to stand trial within 5 years from the day she was charged with murder, those charges could be dropped.
Hi. I can't. You can't talk right now.
Catherine's mother doesn't believe a murder trial will ever be necessary. Lindsay Hoggle declined my request for an on-camera interview, but by phone, she dropped a bombshell about her grandkids.
You believe your grandchildren are alive and they are being held somewhere?
Yes, that's correct.
Do you believe that they're safe with whomever they're with?
Yes.
And you believe your daughter that she would not harm them?
That's correct.
Lindsay is hoping these age progression photos from the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children will help bring her grandchildren home. But Montgomery County Police Captain DARREN FRANCKE is confident the kids are dead, and he alleges Catherine killed them.
Is it frustrating that she has not been deemed competent to stand trial?
I think, you know, the court system is what it is.
If Catherine does ever stand trial for murder, Captain Frank believes 2 pieces of security video will go a long way to proving her guilt. The first is the Chick-fil-A video when Catherine snuck away from Troy while searching for the kids.
If you look at her, she continues to look back over her shoulder at what's going on. Really, the hesitation of thinking it through. What am I going to do in this situation? She knew what she was doing. She needed to leave that situation. She needed to not be there with Troy when he met up with the police.
The second is the clip from the federal building Catherine snuck into hours after vanishing.
She had the sense to make it across the highway into a secured facility, piggyback into a secured facility to continue hiding. She wasn't wandering around the neighborhood.
Her actions were deliberate.
That's our belief when you look at everything.
I asked Catherine's attorney, David FELSEN, about her behavior in the video.
Catherine is a young woman who has been for quite some time in the throes of profound mental illness. I'm glad that the investigators, and I say this with intended sarcasm, I'm glad that the investigators know what's in her mind by looking at a videotape.
Until Catherine's next competency hearing in November, Troy continues to search for Jacob and Sarah.
You've also hired a private investigator to look into this case who has done a lot of work for you.
Yes, he's been amazing.
Jared Stern has been working on the case for 2 years. Like police, he believes Sarah and Jacob are dead and Catherine killed them. He also believes the murders were premeditated.
Since they happened at 2 different times, it can't be something in a fit of anger. And whatever she did, she had to have prepared in some measure because it went pretty well.
But if Catherine did indeed kill her 2 kids, what did she do with their bodies?
It just doesn't seem like in those 5 days she got very far.
Well, you're right.
Montgomery County detectives won't reveal what they believe Catherine did with the kids' bodies, but the private eye has his own theory.
If you ask yourself, well, where could they be? We know her condition, her level of cleanliness, etc. We know she didn't bury them, but let's say she did. She didn't bury them deeply, they would have been found by now. So that leaves a limited number of places. The waterways, which have not been searched by anybody, make for a logical next step.
So Jared Stern has now begun to search 15 bodies of water across Montgomery County using a newly invented underwater drone.
Explain to me what you're doing here.
Well, we're using a remotely operated vehicle to search the pond bottom.
Do you think it's possible these children could be in the water somewhere?
Let's put it this way. The bodies of water are the only areas that haven't been searched beyond the vast amount of ground searches that have taken place. So if one were to select places to search, it makes sense.
The tedious task will take time.
How long will it take you to search 15 different waterways in Montgomery County?
I'd say we're going to spend the better part of a year.
In the meantime, Troy Turner has no choice but to keep waiting, waiting for justice, and waiting to bring his children home.
If Jacob and Sarah could hear you today, what would you tell them?
I would tell them Daddy loves them, and Daddy's never gonna quit, and their brother misses them, and that they have a whole family at home that thinks about them every day.
So for now, Troy Turner waits, hoping that Catherine will eventually be found mentally competent to stand trial, and more important, finally tell him what really happened to his two children. Until then, police say if you know anything about Sarah and Jacob's disappearance, please call 1-301-279-8000. You can also submit a tip anonymously at crimewatchdaily.com. I'm Chris Hansen. If you like this story, make sure you tune in every day to Crime Watch Daily. You can find where the show airs in your city at crimewatchdaily.com. Watch it live or record it on your DVR and watch it at night. And to all those criminals out there, remember, we are watching.